Okay, folks, we're looking at question 5 of the exam paper. This question deals with graphs and functions. It's 13 marks worth. Okay, let's see. The sketch above shows the graph of f of x. Now, f is this parabola as it's labeled. And they tell us f of x, let's write it up here. F of x is x squared plus 2x minus 3. And then g of x, which is this hyperbola that's transformed, g of x has been given as a over x minus p plus q. Sorry. Okay, they give us that information, and now they say the following. The graphs are not drawn to scale. Okay, so thanks for telling us that, so that we know we cannot just read values off this graph. Then it says, C is the point of intersection of the asymptotes of the hyperbola, and it is also the y-intercept of the parabola. So this point is quite significant. It's where the asymptotes of the hyperbola intersect, and it's the y-intercept of the parabola. Now we can see immediately that is minus 3. So this is the point, C is the point, 0 and negative 3, which gives us the equation of that asymptote. It's horizontal. The vertical asymptote clearly is x equals 0. It's the y-axis. Okay. Excuse me. Then DE, I'll just get rid of this pencil. Sorry, I couldn't get a clean copy. So DE over there, the axis of symmetry of the parabola, passes through the x-intercept of the hyperbola. Now the x-intercept of the hyperbola is at D, at point D, so I can do the following. I can just put a dotted line through those 2 points, and I know it's the axis of symmetry of the parabola, which passes through the x-intercept of the hyperbola. Quite nice. So at this point E is going to be the turning point of the parabola. Okay. Let's see what they ask. The first thing they ask is determine, let me zoom out a bit more, determine the coordinates of C and D. The point C is there, D is there, for 3 marks. The second part say find the value of A, P and Q, and then we'll come back and look at what the third said. Okay, so I'm going to place my paper that I'm going to write on over this one, so that we can have the graph available at all times. So the first question for 5 asked, find the coords of points C and D. Okay, let's see. First question, the coordinate for C and D. Now, C we found almost immediately. We saw, they told us, that it is the y-intercept of the parabola. If we look at the equation, that's where the y-intercept lies. The constant in the equation of the parabola is always the y-intercept. So point C I can write down. That's the point 0 and negative 3. To find the point D, D lies on the axis of symmetry of the hyperbola, of the parabola. Okay? Here, it's the x-intercept of the hyperbola, but I don't have the equation for the hyperbola. So I'm going to go, okay, x is equal to minus b over 2a. b is 2, so it's minus 2 divided by twice a, which is minus 1. So the point D is an x-intercept, so the y value is 0. So the point D will be the point minus 1 and 0. Okay, so let's put it in. Remember, always when you work something out, put it on the diagram in case you need it. That was the first question A, and it was for 3 beautiful marks. Question B is for 4 marks, and it said, find the value of A, P, and Q. Okay, now we can look at that. For A, P, and Q, all belong to the hyperbola. Now Q, remember, we know one thing, that the axes of symmetry of the hyperbola, not symmetry, the asymptotes rather, lies at Q and at P. This is the vertical asymptote, and the vertical asymptote currently is the y-axis. So the value of P here is going to be 0. Okay, why? Again, because the axis of symmetry is the y-axis. So x equals 0. X minus whatever must be 0, so P is 0. The horizontal asymptote shares or goes through the y-intercept of the parabola, which we can simply just write down Q is equal to minus 3. So what do we know? We know that G of x is equal to A over x minus 3. Now we need to find the value of A, folks. Now to find the value of A, I need a point that lies on the hyperbola, or I need a little bit more information. What is the point that I have? I have the coordinates of D. There it goes. Okay, so in here I'm going to Hoi D, minus 1 and 0. The y value is going to be 0, the x value is going to be minus 1. So A over minus 1 minus 3 has to be 0. I multiply the minus 1 both sides, or I can say this is 0 is minus A minus 3. So what is A? A is indeed minus 3. Okay, so far now I've got the equation of my hyperbola. Let's write it in. This is equal to minus 3 over x minus 3. That's the equation of the hyperbola. Y is equal to minus 3 over x minus that 3. That's not what they asked. They asked us for A, P, and Q. Okay, so you don't really have to write it down, but it's nice then you have it if you're going to refer to it in the other questions. Now let's see what they asked next. The next question says that if, let's move this up a bit, and it's for 6 marks. If minus 3 minus x, which is indeed the equation we found, is the equation of the hyperbola, find the length of AB and then find the length of BF. Each one of those are worth 3 marks. So to find the length of AB, let me color it in pink. There's my AB. Okay? And the second one that they asked me for is BF. There's B and here's F. Okay, so in here I have a slight problem. They had to tell you, if you wanted to find the length of BF, folks, they had to tell you that those two are perpendicular. That information wasn't given. Okay, so it's slightly problematic that we don't know that this is perpendicular. Okay? Please, you have to be very, very certain that you read the information. That was not given. BF was not given perpendicular to the axis. That was a bit of a slip. On the exam, you will definitely have that is either parallel to the y-axis or that it's perpendicular to the x-axis. Why is that important? Because then point B, point F will share the same x value. So the y values I need to determine by working with that particular x value. And without that information, I cannot say that they're perpendicular. So let's find the first one. The first one is AB. Okay, so for the length of AB is the first one. The next one I'm going to find is the length of BF. Okay, now we know what to do. Let's start. Okay, now that we know that, let's go to our graph. AB is the distance between the x-axis of the parabola. The parabola has equation x squared plus 2x minus 3. I need to find out where that's 0 to find the x-intercepts. Okay, so let's go. If I factor this, I have x and x. I have 3 and 1. I have signs are different, but the biggest one is positive, so that's plus, this is minus. So x is either minus 3 from there, or x is equal to 1. Now look at what I'm going to say. I'm going to say this is the x-coordinate of A immediately. And this will be the x-coordinate for B. So what's the length of AB? The length of AB is a horizontal length, So it's the difference between the bigger x, x of b, minus the smaller x, which is x of a. So this is 1 minus 3, gives me 1 plus 3, which is 4 units long. So AB is 4 units. Okay, that was important because now I know that the point B has an x-coordinate of 1 and the point A has an x-coordinate of minus 3. So to find that vertical length, I need to find, I know the x value is 1, but I need the y value of f, which lies on the hyperbola. Okay, so I'm now going to call on the hyperbola for help. For BF, x is 1. So x equals 1. I put it into the hyperbola. The hyperbola equation, so minus 3 times 1 minus another 3 will be the y-coordinate of point F. Okay, so that gives me minus 3 is minus 6. So point F is the point 1 and negative 6 over here. And to find that vertical length, I simply just need the difference between those y values. So BF, okay, the value for point B, the y value is 0, will be 0 minus 6, which is positive 6, and therefore it is indeed 6 units long. Okay, so make sure, folks, that when you answer these type of questions about graphs, you read the information properly. Read it very, very attentively and make sure that whatever is in the information, when you solve your different components of this problem, that you put that information back onto the graph. Please remember to like the video and to subscribe to the channel as well. Okay, folks, I hope that helped you.